to WOW, Women Optimizing Wellness, where we celebrate the incredible journey and wisdom of inspiring women.
Okay, is that why I'm here?
That's why you're here.
Yes, and today we have the privilege of speaking with you, Mary Crafts. She is a trailblazing entrepreneur, speaker, adventurer, and author of the powerful book, Unbounded.
Yes.
From Sorrow to Summit. Her journey from overcoming fear and vulnerability to climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and building a multi-million-dollar business is a testament to resilience and transformation. Mary's mission is to inspire others to embrace courage, authenticity, and personal growth. So good to have you here, Mary.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
We are so
and
excited
to be
to have
involved in this, your new launch of your retreats and so many things that you guys are doing.
Yes.
So it's really an honor to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. We feel the very same way about you. We had to really write down that intro because there's so many things that you have done in your world, your life, and so many accomplishments. So truly, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start off with a really tough question, right?
Okay.
Let's get the hard one out of the way. So I really just kind of wanted to dive into, Mary, your life has been filled with incredible transformations. What was the most pivotal moment for you that has really shaped the woman that you are today?
Yeah. That was easy for me.
Oh, good.
Because it happened at a very succinct moment,
Uh-huh.
and I remember it as if it were yesterday.
Wow.
It was right after my 50th birthday.
Okay.
And so now I'm 71, so that's 21 years ago. And that's before we had cell phones and this kind of photography.
Right.
And people were at my 50th birthday party doing this. Mm-hmm. And then you take the film into Kmart, when there was still Kmart.
I remember, yes.
And you would get it developed, and you would wait outside anxiously when you would get it developed and flip through them. And I was sitting out there flipping through these pictures of my 50th birthday party, and I came across a picture of me. Just by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started to weep.
Oh my goodness.
Who's that person? I never saw myself as that person. I don't know how to get away from that. I'm so lost. I don't know how I got here, so how would I possibly know how I got away? To get away. And I was just seized with this fear that this was my life. And as I sat there longer and longer, I realized this is my moment. This is my moment to make a turn and to shift.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't know what it would take. I didn't know how long it would take me. But I knew that I was turning. I could feel myself literally turning. And so at that point in my life, I had been in my business for 20 years. I was already a very successful entrepreneur. But I was just burying deeper and deeper all the struggles that I had dealt with my whole life. And putting out here, well, look at the success of my business. Surely I must be okay. I was wearing this badge that said, I only sleep 4 hours a night. Aren't I wonderful? All the things we as women do to build up these badges on us that make us okay, as opposed to dealing with what's inside. At the time, I was 284 pounds and just really hating myself. And yet to the outside world, as that photo depicted, I was full of smiles and laughter and successful, but so sad inside.
So what you saw in that photo was not just the exterior that you're talking about. You saw me. You saw yourself.
Yeah.
The full authenticity of.
And all that smiling just melted away, and I saw her. I saw me.
I think that's so relatable, especially as women. We do seek that external validation to mean something about us, but really, no matter how much you chase, that doesn't fix anything inside.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, very pivotal moment for you of transition.
Yeah.
What was step one for you? What was step one?
Well, just the realization
Yeah.
and acceptance that I was going to stop hiding
Okay.
was huge.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had spent my entire life hiding. And so, I would like, look over here and all these things, don't pay attention over here. Kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Or these are not the drones you're looking for. I was playing this game all the time to get people to look over here. Just don't look here. And a very pivotal moment as I realized, and as I walked through this, the very first 2 or 3 months, realizing how much my life was controlled by fear.
Wow.
To the point where I had to finally say, you know what, Mary? Every single decision you make is based in fear.
Wow.
Of what people will think of you.
That is just huge.
About what clients will think, what your family will think, what your neighbors will think, what the people in the ward will think. I mean, I was so afraid of pleasing everyone. I was just making all those decisions based on fear.
How lost you must have felt in that time.
I did.
That's why I asked about step 1, how challenging that would have been. Like, where do you start when you feel like everything is based on who everybody else wants you to be or what they think of you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I took on that mantra that the healing starts when the hiding stops. And so when you asked me before we began here on this podcast, what was I willing to share? And everything. Whatever you ask me, I will share. Because I'm so committed to standing naked in front of people. Now, not necessarily physically naked, even though I have had to become comfortable with that.
That too, yeah.
And basically me in front of the mirror.
Yes.
But socially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And as I accepted that nakedness and stepped into being vulnerable, this is the crazy part I realized, and is the number one thing that I want you listeners to get.
Yeah.
And that the very things that I thought were going to push people away from me or make them want to run away from me are the very things that drew them close to me. Now when I share things, you can imagine afterwards the number of women that come up to me and say, oh, I felt that same thing. Like, that's just like me. And they are so thrilled to have someone they can relate to.
Yes.
And then now, particularly someone that made it out of that. And so there's nothing greater to stand naked and find yourself accepted and loved more than you ever have been in your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
A lot of wows today
that's so
from
true.
this lady. She is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
I know Jen had a question about part of that journey with Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. Switching
Nice.
gears a little bit. It's such a powerful metaphor. What was the most unexpected lesson you learned from that?
Yeah. There are so many lessons on Kili, and I really had to write them all down, and that's kind of where the book came from.
Unbounded, yes.
I started this journey, as I said, at age 50, and it took me about 6 to 7 years to lose all the weight.
Okay.
And to start down the journey, to add to that, then a physical fitness, strength training, all those kind of things that now are just a daily part of my life. And as I started down that road, I was like, I kept looking for markers, and I found markers along the way where I could plant my flag and say, I made it this far. I made it this far. And so at age 60, I was on the foundation board at Utah Valley University, and a gentleman named Martin Fry was on the board with us, and he was giving a recap to the board of, he is the only man in the world still to have climbed all 7 major peaks and to have sailed all 7 seas.
What am I doing with my life?
And so that's exactly what I thought. I mean, I've accomplished this goal, but I mean, I haven't done that. And I knew that was not within my kind of, I was a little older, so I was 60, I'm just saying. And so, but as he talked, I was just like mesmerized. And when he sat down, he came and sat next to me. I turned to him and I said, Martin, I want to do something something physical, because physical had never been part of my life. I had told myself and convinced myself that if it involved anything physical, I'm sorry, that one's not for me. What's another thing I can do? I mean, but now I was strong and I was fit, and I said I could do something. So what is it? Thinking he's going to tell me to do some 2K or something, you know. He just turned to me and he said, "You shall climb Kilimanjaro."
Oh, so he just kept it simple for you. Just easy.
And I just looked at him and I said, "What? What?"
Oh my gosh.
And he said, "Yeah. How long do you need to get ready?"
Wow.
He just didn't even blink. He didn't say, "How does that sound to you?" or anything like that. He just said,
Here it is.
You know, you shall climb Kilimanjaro.
Back up.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what that entails. He goes, "I think you're fit enough. I think that you're strong enough. You have enough resilience. I think you can do it.
Just
In fact, I know you can. So how long do you need?"
My goodness.
"Well, how about 5 years?" And he said, "Mary, you're 60 and you want to wait 5 years till you're 65? And I go, "Well, that sounds about what I need." Because I was really backpedaling with fear.
Yeah.
Fear was really coming in. So that's the one thing people need to know, is that it's not like, oh, I make this decision and then it's just walking upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, keep going.
There's some steps
There
back.
there are down and up and the plateaus that you think will never end. And I just thought, well, I need till I'm 65. And he said, all right. He didn't question it. He said, I'll check in with you once a year, see how that goal's coming for you. It's okay. So literally every year he would call me and say, how's that goal coming? I said, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I really was not working on it. I was just like happy to stay status quo.
It's far enough away.
And so in August, I turned 65.
Okay.
And I realized, okay, because I started telling people the moment I took the goal. Everyone knew I was doing this.
That's
So I'm
good.
like,
It's a lot of
it is good.
accountability.
I really
A lot of
recommend that to people.
accountability.
Tell as many people as you can. And so I'm going to need to go back and say, my arthritis won't let me, my back's too blah, I don't have the money, I have to say something, or I have to do it. It's
here.
you either do it or you don't.
Yep.
I thought, okay, if I have until August of next year now, so I have a year. I'm going to do this. So the first thing I did was to look for an backcountry guide, and I talked to a lot of people who had gone to Kilimanjaro. They recommended this one. I decided, and so I signed up, paid my money. And okay,
Committed now.
better go.
Yeah.
And then I bought my tickets, and then I really committed.
Yeah.
You know, and in January, I waited till January. I'm like, I really better do this. I better get cracking. So I made a training guide. They have a training guide for you. And however, true to my form, I'm always thinking, okay, I got this. Okay, now. I was not looking detailed at the training regime.
You just kind of skimmed.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah, I'll do some stair steppers, take a hike every week, blah blah. Get that. But when it came to the stair stepping, I did my stair stepping. I could do an hour of stair stepping without any big issue. When I got there, we're talking the first night, and the one lady said, "Yeah, the stair stepping was sometimes a challenge for me, especially with that 35-pound backpack." And I'm like,
That little
did I
detail.
miss that part?
That little detail.
I was supposed to climb those stairs with a backpack.
It's a little more challenging.
And then they start sharing their different training things, and the one woman said, yeah, I hiked about 250 miles. And so I'm thinking, from January to this, I definitely hiked 250 miles. I'm good. She said, a month. And I went, So this is what I realized.
Yeah.
That moment, sitting around the campfire the morning before we leave, and you don't just all of a sudden train overnight, that pay attention to the details. But whatever your goals are, you're going to face them again and again and again. And I realized that every single one of my fears that I thought I had overcome were right in front of me again. And my fears looked something like this, that I couldn't physically do it. Now I'm face to face with, can I physically do this? I'm 15 years older than the next person.
Wow.
And they're so much more trained. They had done Everest, Denali, all the. We got that night, we're going around talking about all the mountains we've done. And I said, well, I did do Machu Picchu because that's at the height, the elevation that you can know if you can do killing without oxygen.
Okay.
And I could.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problems.
Had that checked.
Check. And everybody was like, oh, Machu Picchu, that's a great training ground. So what did you do like for some of your big mountains?
That's it.
And so I'm just like in my usual mode of just BS.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, you probably haven't heard of this one, but it's like a really big mountain, and you solo up and down and by yourself. It's a lot of scrambling, a lot of hand over hand mountain, just like climbing. Well, what's the name of it? I said, Timpanogos. And of course, then they're like, I didn't know anything about that. Where is that? I'm like, that's in Utah.
That is really funny.
So, once again, I realized, okay, I have this fear of hiding, and here I am hiding again. Rather than just saying, I may not be as prepared as I could be, but I'm going to do this. And ask for their support, rather than just like, I got this. You wish you were like me, right?
But you did it.
But I did do it, but I was face to face with every one of those fears. Like, I always had a fear of not being dressed right. What if I showed up in jeans and everyone was in dress pants? What if I showed up in a dress and everyone else was in jeans? I mean, I always worried about how I was dressed.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, here I am again. As he's going through my backpack saying, that's not a big enough coat, that's not this, that's not that. And I'm, once again, Mary's not dressed right. I mean, everything that I'd ever feared in my life was right there again to look at me. And since then, my challenges with those things have not been as big, I have to say. I really feel like I conquered a lot on killing. But they are always with you.
Yeah.
Every challenge. I still have those moments where, well, let's talk about right now.
Yeah.
Driving here. I thought, I'm going to go on this podcast. And I got this. I've been on a million podcasts. But what if I'm not what they're looking for?
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? You start wondering, am I enough? Or have I just been living the imposter syndrome? No, Mary. Now let's take a look. Let's look at this realistically.
Yes, truly.
And look at that realistically as I'm driving here. I still have this.
Yes.
What would I possibly have to hide from? And then,
But it still is there.
it's still there. You still
And
make
it's a
that
journey.
decision. You bet.
It's a journey, it sounds like, for you, and continues to be. Which I love that you mentioned that, because, I'm looking at you and we're preparing for this, and I told Jen, I'm like, I'm nervous. We both are podcasters. Like, we've done this several times. I'm like, I'm nervous, right? Like that.
And I do a weekly podcast.
Yes, you do.
I'm on the camera every week, and yet driving here, I thought, I hope I'm enough for them.
So it does pop up. It is a journey. This is just kind of part of life, and being truly your authentic self and sitting here very vulnerable, right? Because I'm feeling that too. I'm like, oh, don't mess up. Don't stumble over the words. Right? You're interviewing Mary Crafts. Like, it's a big deal. So,
And so
you're speaking to my heart. So
those things definitely are always still with us.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe at some point they'll be gone, but I don't know. They are just, I think I'm much quicker now to recognize them. That's one of the big keys. And I'm quicker to know how to handle it. How to step into my authenticity.
You don't let that fear hold you back and control.
And I know that the biggest way to do that is to be vulnerable. To not hide.
And I love that lesson that it does keep coming back because you're a little bit more prepared the next time you do see it. What are some other lessons that you've weaved into your book?
Well, I mentioned that imposter syndrome, and I felt like even though I had had my business for 20 years, we had been best of state a number of times, we had had all these awards, blah, blah, I still felt like that someday they were going to come and realize that I really wasn't as good as I put out to people. They were going to take everything away from me. But we still have that pretending. It all boils down. Can you see how all of this boils down to pretending and hiding?
Yeah.
And that the moment you stop hiding, that's the moment you begin to heal. And whenever you're hiding again, you know you're backsliding. And that's why that lesson is so critical to me. Then there's the lesson of being enough that we always have to be dealing with.
Yeah.
And I do think that it is the base fear of everything. That you might have a fear of failure. Well, why is that? Well, because you think you're not enough. You might have the fear of, being laughed at. Well, why would people laugh at you? Because you're really not enough. And that you might end up being a horrible mother. Well, why would you be a horrible mother unless you're not enough? You know what I mean? And that fear is the base fear of all things. You can trace that back to every single thing, back to we have this fear, this innate fear that we are not enough. I was having dinner last night, John and I, with another couple, to probably one of the most accomplished women that I just love. And I walk away such a better person when I spend time with her. And so I always choose a word for each year. And I don't do resolutions. I haven't done resolutions. Well, since I started this 21 years ago.
Wow.
I haven't done one New Year's resolution.
Just your word.
But I pick a word that will be my guide.
I do it
that
too.
will lead out in front of me.
I love it.
Right? So we can talk about those words in just a minute. And so this year, my word is permission. I want to give myself permission to keep singing. Because
that's
in our world today, if you're 71, your song's done. You're done.
Girl, look at you.
Go sit on the shelf somewhere and be quiet. You know what I mean? They don't expect this person to still have such a song to sing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I know I have songs inside of me that are unsung. I don't want to leave this existence without having sung every one of them. But I fought it inside for the last 4 months. Should I step into more? Should I just be quiet and go away? And I finally decided my word was permission. I'm going to give myself permission to keep singing every day.
That's beautiful.
So the woman across from me, this, remember, very accomplished woman, I asked her what her word was. And she is now in her late 40s. And she said, please, can I be enough?
Wow.
And of course, inside I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How can you feel that? You know what I mean? And yet, inside of me, there was also that piece of, I get you, sister. Yeah, let's step into that. Absolutely knowing and being assured that you are enough. I talk a lot about that in the book. And I talk about coming back from Kilimanjaro, that it didn't matter everything I accomplished and all the fears that I overcame on Kilimanjaro. It does not matter that I lost half of my body weight and more than half of my body fat. That doesn't matter anymore. Because when did that happen? Yesterday. And what am I bringing today? What you bring each and every day is really the only thing that matters. For every single day, I'm bringing the very best that I can to my life and the lives of those around me.
It's beautiful. Truly. So impactful. Right? Because yesterday's history. So move forward and give yourself permission to do so. Stop getting in your way and move forward. Do you have a word this year, Jen?
I do. Well, I kind of toyed between a couple, as we do.
Yeah.
One was I really just wanted to slow down, kind of like we were talking about at the beginning, wearing that badge of look what I've done,
That's right.
Not basing our worth on accomplishments and just you're worthy enough just as you are. And so I've kind of slowed down a little bit, but still the word I ended up settling on was persistence. Like, yes, I'm slowing down, but I'm not stopping. I'm still working towards those things. My energy is just more focused, but just persistence. And so, you know, sometimes we reach a certain goal or we reach a certain state, and maybe it feels like too much to keep going, or, you know, it's like, okay, well, we did this, we can just take a break now, but there's still things that I want to accomplish, and so that persistence will get there.
I love that persistent focus too, right? Like to continue on.
It's not one big push and then I'm done. It's that persistent looking for excellence, your very best self.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, if you seek for perfection, you will struggle and be disappointed every day of your life. But if you seek for excellence and bringing your best every day and be persistent at it, you will find you are in the most beautiful, loving place for yourself and others.
Yeah.
What about you, Bex?
Yeah, so same thing. I did this exercise, you know, as we're just starting into the new year, and I do it every year. So I love that you mentioned that, Mary. I'm not really a big
New Year's
resolution girl either, but I do have a word. Last year it was intentionality, and I wanted to be very specific with that in just really being intentional in all of those aspects. I am a very A personality driven, go.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah, interesting.
Or me or any of us.
Yeah, we're kind of similar women here on this panel today. But for me, last year, 2024, and as my kids are aging, I wanted to get really intentional with my time and being present. So it's not just about my business, but it's also about my relationships.
Absolutely.
And the reason I bring up last year is because this year it moved me into my next word, which is momentum. So really focused on the things that were important and grounding in that, and then continue that with that momentum forward. So
I love that.
It kind of brought me to my word this year.
Because clearly you have some momentum building,
Yes.
and you've been building it, and to stay persistent in that momentum.
Yeah.
And not rest on what you've accomplished in the past.
Because that's yesterday, right? That's last year. But
Yeah.
keep that momentum and keep that moving forward.
So I have some
With
questions
permission.
for you.
Yes.
All right. So, as A personality women,
Yeah.
what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that women in their mid-age range? I'm still thinking that because I'm living to be 105.
I love that.
I think
I
I'm
love
in
that
my
for all of us here.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges?
Being A women?
Yeah.
Well, I have to keep this G, and I can't swear. That is one of my things as I'm trying to keep it clean here. So I think the labels. So I will say this: being labeled a fill in the blank, right? I think that's one of those things with an A personality because you're very driven, and so I have come across that a lot in life, and it's less about perfection and more about striving for excellence. But that could be viewed as being a certain derogatory term that, you know, women are often called, which I don't really care for. But I think for me, it's labels.
A witch.
Yeah, thank you. A witch. That's the G version. You're welcome. So being that is really challenging. Some of the negative spins that can go on that, I don't really care for that. But not to go just in a negative direction, but also there is a lot of positive around that. It's who you surround yourself with, right? Your social circles, other strong, powerful women, being in those rooms where they buoy you up and they want you to be successful. I've really learned that in 2024 is who are you surrounding yourself with? Who's in your circle? And
I'm a total believer, and I talk about that in the book, of being the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
Totally agree with that. What do you have to say around that, Jen?
I think something that I have revisited over and over, we talk about these recurring lessons, is expectations. I've always gotten myself some expectation pain when things didn't work out as I wanted them to or hoped that they would. And so I've had to learn flexibility and being able to pivot and really just accepting that what you have is what's best for you. I never pictured having a boy, and I have 3 sons. So I just from the get-go have learned how to just readjust and be flexible and find the good in every situation. So, but I know that a lot of us do tend to have these expectations.
Yeah.
We get our eye on the prize, we have a vision, we know how we want it to be, but if we don't leave room for that flexibility, then we are causing pain for ourselves.
That's huge. That is massive. That's been a really reoccurring thing for me too. Being an A personality, it's like I have a vision, I want it done, I'm striving for excellence, I want it done this way. Just ask my team. They're behind the camera right now. Hi team. They're making faces at me right now. But truly, yeah, that is very, very powerful. How about you, Mary? I'll turn that question back to you.
Well, I think that even though we live in a state that is no longer majority from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the expectations still linger over all of us. First of all, as women, we have that challenge that how can I be all I want to be and still not seen as the witch? So there is that. And when you surround yourself with women, like at your upcoming big launch, the end of January, you realize that you're not alone. And I think that's huge for women. And the perfectionism issue is still big for women. How to let go of that.
Fitting a mold.
And even this morning, this is just me being vulnerable again, I was listening to the audio version of my book because it's just coming out, and I listened to this part where it talked about, not being perfect, and I'm like, yeah, I did write that, and yeah, I do say that a lot. Have I really let go of that? What does that look like for me? What would be the acceptable things for you not to be perfect in? Are you okay to not be perfect in your physical realm now, since that was such an accomplishment for you? I was like, well, everything but that. But then I'm like, I am aging. And I have to stand in front of the mirror and look, okay, I don't weigh any different, but I look different. I surely do. I had the flattest tummy. And now it's got a little pooch in it. And I'm every day like, what is wrong with that? Do I need to have a bowel movement or something? Why is that pooch there? And then just okay, that's just the body of a 71-year-old. And are you okay with that? Less than perfection. I'm like, well, of course I want to be. The other thing I think helps us along this path that I think is facing women is the use of the word should. If we can just eliminate that from our vocabulary. I hear women and I hear them say about, well, I really should, and I really need. And so then I just come back and I say, can I help you reframe that just a little bit? Can we reframe that to I could? And instead of I need, could you reframe it to I want? How does that shift inside of your body, your feeling, when you say, I need to do this, versus I want to do this? Just that little reframe.
And should versus could, right? Very
exactly.
Similar.
So
I'll have to be mindful of that. I wonder how often.
Now I can't hear it without. I mean, I hear it.
You'll have to hold me accountable on that, Jen. You're around me a lot.
Night and day. The shoulds and the coulds, and the need and the want.
And the need and the want.
And if you don't want it, why are we putting energy there? We really need so few things. You need air, water, food.
Little shelters, nice.
And, if those aren't along the need list, then these are wants. And wants are inspirational. Wants light up a fire inside of you. I want to climb Kilimanjaro. Right, like, I need to climb Kilimanjaro. That's like
Ooh.
a Debbie Downer, right?
Yeah, that
Obligation.
shifted me. I was like, "Ooh, I don't like to be obligated to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?"
yeah.
Like, but I want to. That's more
Yeah,
inspirational.
Yeah.
So, Mary, I want to shift a little bit because you did mention you are going to be our keynote speaker.
Yeah.
What can we anticipate at the end of this month? And
Well, let's hope that I
Focusing on
have something in my brain by then, because I've been kind of ruminating on it. And one of the things I've done before is to walk into a room and just start asking women, so tell me why you're here. Tell me, what are you hoping to, see, that's me hoping. What do you want to walk away with from here today? I just have my little notepad and I'm just making notes. And then I get up and I talk. And I think for them, one of the best pieces will be the Q&A,
yeah,
where they get to really ask anything of a naked woman. I'm not going to really sit up there naked, but you know.
I was ready to bring a robe just in case. Like, you never know with Mary what we're gonna get.
You know. But what if you really could ask someone who had passed through your age
Yes.
and really emerged on the other side? Anything. What would you ask her? And so I kept looking my whole life for a mentor my age that was older than I was. And I kept thinking, I'm going to find this woman who's in a rocking chair on a front porch and she's, got her gray bun behind her head. She was going to give me all of this wisdom on how she was an entrepreneur and how she built her business and how she balanced family and career, and that she was going to now be able to, as I was approaching retirement, that she was now going to be able to say, and this is how I moved from this point to this point and built on my value even more. And I would envision her, and then one day, about a month before I retired, I realized that woman doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That woman would need to be 85 or 90. And there weren't a lot of women entrepreneurs.
Not in that generation, nope.
And that I'd been looking for someone who probably didn't exist. So making the decision at that point, I want to learn as much as I can so that I can be that for everyone who comes behind me.
Thank you for giving yourself permission to do that.
Yeah.
Because we need you.
Truly.
We need you to sing, girl.
It speaks to your bio of being a trailblazer and being that person that you couldn't find, but being that for others. Well, in the meantime, before our launch party, how can people find you, connect with you, learn more?
Well, you can,
Let's talk
this is
about the
on
book
Amazon, Unbounded, From Sorrow to Summit. So it is the metaphor of my climb from Killy and preparing for my climb to the actual summit. But in there are the lessons that I learned in the 15 years before I left of waking up to what was holding me back and then setting a plan. So in here, I feel like it's a guide for people to become their very best self, to let go of fear, to become fearless. Wow.
Think of how powerful this world would be if more people step into that vulnerable, authentic self.
Yeah.
If you haven't read this, you guys absolutely need to. Again, it's Unbounded, From Sorrow to Summit, Miss Mary Crafts.
On Amazon.
On
And then, of course,
Amazon.
you can visit my website, which is Mary Crafts Inc. And the crafts is with an S.
Yes.
So, like arts and crafts. Not like the cheese.
Not like the cheese.
And then you have a podcast.
And I have a podcast every week. It comes out. That's on YouTube, and I have my own channel. And you can visit my social media. I invite people to follow me there. It's full of all sorts of ups and downs and real life. It's not all perfect now. I will say though,
It's a journey.
it's so much better.
No
Good.
kidding.
Last year, as I went into this year, my word was dream. And I began to dream what was possible still. And now I have permission to do it.
I love it.
But last year for me was very pivotal. I didn't know if someone my age would find the love of their life. But I dreamed it. I dreamed it so big. And last April we were married.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
we've been married 9 months.
Oh, you're a newlywed girl.
We are.
Marital bliss right now.
And so that was really wonderful for me, just to dream and realize that it doesn't matter. The age does not stop you from dreaming. Only your belief in your age and what that says about you.
Yes.
And when I went to make this step of permission, I also felt I needed to ask John for permission. And I told him about what I was thinking, and the alternative to that would be just to find the love and joy of staying here and being with you. And being with my grandchildren and my children. And travel. I mean, all those things we love to do. Is that, I mean, what would you do if you were me?
Can it be an and?
And what do you want me to do? And he just sat back and he thought for a minute and he said, I want you to sing.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's
thank
so
you.
beautiful.
So now that I have his permission, I can definitely give myself permission.
So what I just heard is Mary's going to be singing for us on the 27th. So again, that will be on January 27th, Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. at Novel Daybreak. We are so excited
This
to
is
have
just right
you.
over
Just
here.
right down the street.
I
Just
love
right
it.
here in South Jordan Daybreak. Jen, what final thoughts do you have?
I love the takeaway that our challenges don't leave us, but that's not a discouragement. We can still go through them, we can still face them. They might become less, but they're still going to be there, and we're worthy no matter what.
No matter what.
Yes, we're enough.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
This, I'm going to share one more thing.
Yes, do.
But this was a thought I had this morning as I read my book, because I'm listening to it now, because the audio's coming out. And that at one point I wrote, if you believe that you are going to be more worthy if you accomplish a goal, then you're coming at that from the wrong point. If you believe you're going to be more worthy for losing weight or becoming fit, your worth did not change when you shifted to that point, and it's not going to change when you shift away from it. It is constant. It's the one constant that's in our life, our worth. It's always with us. The only thing that's shifted is our perception of it. And what if we could all just sit every morning and bask in our worth and beauty?
I know you focus a lot on gratitude too, and being mindful in that gratitude, I think, is very helpful.
Yeah.
In that space, because sometimes when you're down and out and thinking, of the past and being stuck in fear and all of those things, that can be a really negative space, and it's hard to break out of that. And I've found in my own mental health struggle through the years, specifically postpartum, gratitude was everything for me. Just taking
everything.
that moment to shift the thinking and recognize and realize your worth is here. It's constant. Your worth is constant. What are the things, even as bad as life is, that you have to be grateful for? And sitting in that moment of gratitude really does shift.
It does shift. It totally does. I think about a little baby coming into the world. And would you ever say to a little baby, just so you know, sweetheart, you are worth nothing.
Yeah.
You have to prove yourself here.
If you do,
You have
X,
to
Y,
work
and Z.
hard.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to be worth something. We never think of saying that to a baby.
Yeah.
And yet somewhere along the way, this world changes our perception. We're going to shift it back.
I love it.
Come join us on January 27th.
Love it. Thank you again, Mary. That was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. We really appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.